Today, we're going for a mile time trial in the Adidas SL20.
I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told you I'ma do me. Why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck. Country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up. Only buying car to get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fold, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso.
My arms are burning. Seven miles total for today. I had a 5 mile kind of extra long warm up. I still wanted to make sure I got some miles in for the day. Then I had the mile time trial, then I had a mile cool down. And with all those miles put together, I was able to get the Adidas SL20 to the 100-mile mark. Now, before I talk about how this shoe fared over the last 100 miles, and specifically how the mile time trial went, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that I purchased with my own money. No one sent it to me or is reimbursing me for a purchase price. But in either event, no one's going to get a chance to preview any of my thoughts or footage before this video goes up on YouTube. So the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about the Adidas SL20. Now, this is a shoe that I've been enjoying for quite a long time, and it's been an amazing shoe and a confusing shoe all at the same time. But first, let's talk about what makes this shoe amazing. This shoe has an all light strike midsole. I think it was the first all light strike midsole shoe available in the US. And it's a new material from Adidas for this year, and I really am enjoying it quite a bit. It's lighter than Boost, and it performs, at least at speed, much better than Boost. There are certain areas where I think Boost still serves a function in the Adidas running world, but Light Strike is a material that I'm absolutely loving. In the forefoot, you've got 14 millimeters of stack height and 10 millimeter heel drop. Total weight comes in at a very light 8.1 ounces as the stated weight for a size 9, and it is just an absolute joy to run in this shoe. The sensation you get is you're able to run really hard, really long distances in this shoe without really noticing that you've got a really fantastic midsole underneath you. So it's one of those quiet performers that I just really have been enjoying. Plus, also on this shoe, there is a torsion plate. That's this orange part that's down here. And while I think the main purpose of the torsion plate is to establish some sort of torsional rigidity so the shoe doesn't get too wobbly as your foot hits the ground, I think with the way that this torsion plate is designed, it extends a little bit further into the forefoot than kind of like the normal torsion plates from Adidas do. I think there's a little bit of springiness that the torsion plate is adding to the shoe, all combining to create this fantastic speed effect from the shoe that I've been really loving in the time that I've been running with the shoe, whether it's a tempo run or threshold paces, or even something as fast as a mile time trial. It's been a fantastic shoe. I've also been enjoying it and running a substantial number of my miles in this shoe as just an everyday trainer. It's not my favorite shoe for an everyday trainer, and that's where I think boost is really nice. If there were some boost in the heel, like for example in the Boston 9, I think that makes it a little bit better of a candidate for some of those longer miles where you might be hitting the heel a little bit more. But I have done that in this shoe, and I was also quite pleased with how the light strike performed in that area. And there is quite a bit of light strike in the heel back here. Not only is it 24 millimeters of stack height by the time you get to the back with that 10 millimeter drop, it's a little bit wide. So you are getting quite a bit of protection in the back. Still not my first choice for a daily trainer, but if you're looking for a shoe that can kind of do a lot of things, this is definitely something that should be in your contention. Now let's talk about how this shoe's been doing after the 100 miles. The outsole shows almost no wear for me, which may be because of the Continental rubber, but I think a lot of that is going to be due to the fact that I've been running mostly fast miles in the shoe. So like I think the faster you run, the cleaner your foot strike tends to be. But also I've been running on some softer surfaces, so not so much just the 100% pavement that I typically run in, especially over the summers. So I think that's been a little bit easier on the outsole, but the rubber shows almost no wear. It's actually quite surprising. I have to look very close to find any signs of wear and tear at all. And even the common areas where I would normally see the most wear, I'm not really seeing much at all. So it's holding up really fantastically well, which is what I would expect from the Continental rubber. In the forefoot, I am seeing that the light strike is starting to kind of like crack and discolor just a little bit. I actually for a second forgot which shoe I was looking at. I thought I was looking at some discolored boost because that's kind of like the impression that I got from it. But it's still holding up really well. It still feels like an absolutely fresh shoe. I wouldn't guess that this has 100 miles on it. The upper is holding up really well. The midsole is holding up well. The outsole looks like there aren't hardly any scratches or scuffs on it or wear and tear at all. It's all holding up really well. Then here's where it starts to get a little confusing for me in this shoe overall. In the upper, there's just all this stuff that's back here. There's this TPU overlays on the side, and there's just a lot of padding back here and a really strong heel cup. It's flexible, but still there's a lot to it. So it's not rigid, but there's a lot of structure in here. And I just don't understand that about this shoe. From the first time I saw it, I feel like this shoe looks and feels like they took a really good soccer cleat, shaved off all the cleats from the outsole, and then gave it to me as a running shoe. Because I just feel like I don't understand what they're expecting that's going to happen to me as I'm running in the shoe, that I would need this much protection. I don't need it at all. I don't think it's helps the shoe. If anything, it could help shed even more weight to make it an even lighter shoe. And here's the thing. I feel like this shoe feels like a speed shoe to me. It feels like a threshold day shoe, intervals, tempo. It could do pretty much all that stuff. Take it to the track. You could do lots of things. But listen to how Adidas describes this shoe. It's so generic. It calls it running shoes for training. It calls it comfortable running shoes with lightweight cushioning. I mean, what does that even mean? It doesn't tell you anything about this shoe at all. You could copy and paste that language and put it pretty much on any shoe on any brand, anywhere on the internet, and people will be like, okay, yeah, words. They made a summer ready version of this, which Adidas has been making, like lighter uppers, different sets of colors. Adidas is the king of SKUs. They just make so many different versions of shoes. But even the summer ready versions of it, like some of them are listed on the Adidas website as men's hiking shoes. So like, I don't think Adidas knows what it has on its hands. I don't think Adidas really knows what to do with this shoe. And that also reflects in the fact that they're only charging $100 for this thing. It's absolutely a steal. When the shoe first came out back in, I think it was maybe March, maybe February, the shoe was $100 retail. And then I feel like within a month, they were deep discounting it, like $70. You could find it on some of the other retailers, not the Adidas website itself, but on other retailers for like prices in the 60s. And I just couldn't understand why Adidas was like dumping this shoe. They were just like, I don't know if they were flooding the market or what they were doing with it, but they had a bunch of them out on the market at like bargain basement prices. At $100, this shoe is an absolute bargain. At 70 or 60, people message me all the time because I'm just constantly confused about it. The pricing for this shoe, people are like, you get it. They're getting it for under $50 in certain sizes, certain colors. It's just absolutely fantastic. Such an amazing bargain. The people that I think have run in this shoe understand what it is. They know what they're running in, and it's a fantastic shoe. I just wish they would get rid of some of the armor in the back of it because I think they could shed even more weight. I just ultimately think that the shoe and the light strike and the way it's all put together, it protects your feet without making you feel like you're running on a bunch of cushion. And so if you get that kind of like race flat feel without having that race flat punishment on your feet and joints. I just don't know how they're doing it, but it's really great running experience for me. I've absolutely loved running in the shoe. I think I could take this from anything from a mile to a marathon and everything in between. There's not a lot of shoes that I can say that I would do that with. And that's why I think makes the shoe so spectacular and the pricing so confusing. I just don't get it. I've talked about it so much in live streams on Instagram, on Twitter, that it's become like the running joke of the year. On the live stream, the SL20 is like the word of the day, because every day someone shows up and is like, dude, I tried out this SL20 and it's an amazing shoe. Like there's a different person every day coming up and telling me about how surprised they are about the shoe and how much they love it. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. Now, if you're looking for like a plush, comfortable, squishy, like really comfortable long run shoe, this isn't it. That's like the one thing that this shoe can't do. But if you're looking for an everyday trainer that can kind of do it all, you could take it to the track, you could take it for a long run, you could take it for your long hard workouts or a fartlek or a threshold run or intervals or repeats. This is a shoe. This is a shoe that I would very easily reach for, and I find myself recommending it just about every day to somebody. It's amazing. And it's holding up really well. It's holding up really well. And I just don't know how Adidas is making any money on this shoe at all. They should be making money hand over fist on this shoe, but it seems like they're just like clearancing it out. I'd say go and pick it up while you can. Buy two. At these prices, they're basically BOGO. So like get two. It's a fantastic shoe. No one's paying me to say this. I just think it's a really great shoe. I've been loving running in it, and I think a lot of you guys have been too. Those are my thoughts on the SL20. Oh, I didn't tell you guys about the mile time trial. So this mile time trial, I thought that it was time for me to do a mile time trial mainly because I'm going to start a weird mile series. So like kind of like beer miles, and we'll do other kinds of miles as well. So I thought to do that, I probably should have at least a baseline of what a regular mile for me is like. And I haven't run a mile time trial in a very long time. So today's mile time trial, I was going into it, I looked at Stride to see kind of like what it thought, and it has a race predictor. It said that I should be shooting for a power output of 288 watts with an estimated time of 6 minutes, 14 seconds. Now, I thought I was closer to the 6:05, maybe 6:10 for the mile range. I ended up coming in at 286 watts and 5 minutes and 40, well, the Stride had me at 5:45, my Polar Watch had me at 5:47, Strava had me at 5:49, and Strava's grade adjusted pace had me at 5:51. So I'm going to go with 5:51 for the grade adjusted pace. I had a little bit of a downhill, pretty much as flat as I could find around here, but it still ended up being a little bit of a downhill. So I'm very happy with that number, at least for the amount of not training that I've been doing for a mile race. I haven't done any repeats. I've been doing some hill surges, but that's not really quite the same as training for a mile time trial. And I mean, at the half mile mark, my arms just filled with lactic acid. I felt like everything was burning from like the elbow on up. And so it got to the end, but by the time I finished, I just had to like shake my arms loose. It was a really weird feeling, a really uncomfortable feeling, a very painful feeling, which, you know, now like days later, I'm like, oh, that was a good feeling. I need to get that feeling again. So, I mean, that's running for you, right? It makes you crazy. But I definitely felt like I'm not used to running at that level of intensity mentally. Like like all these red flags were going off, like alarm bells were ringing, like stop running, you should stop. And I feel like my body kind of like listened just a little bit. So I'd like to be able to push through some of those barriers, get used to those types of feelings a little bit more. Do some more speed work. My knee's feeling a lot better. It felt great during this time trial, so I can't blame anything on like maybe my knee wasn't feeling great. So I feel like the time trial is a pretty accurate reflection of what I'm capable of doing right now. And hopefully as I start getting into my next training thing, whatever that's going to be, I'll be able to work on some more speed and have some more fun doing weird miles and maybe some other like just regular time trials as well. So that's my thoughts on the SL20. That's my thoughts on the most recent mile time trial that I did. If you guys have any questions about either one, I'd be happy to answer them down in the comments down below. Keep the conversation going down there. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video, everybody. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?